I gotta also ask, look at the boat. What happened with your boat?
Oh, yeah.
That was all of a sudden like, wow, Louis like a tabloid guy. Louis C.K. in his boat.
Just hanging out waiting to be rescued. I got stuck in the mud.
It's new Black Crowes album.
It was my first day. Yes. It was my first day in the
Stuck in the mud.
I just bought it. And I spent one day on it with some guy who showed me the specifics of the boat. But it's this big fucking boat with 2 engines, and it's really complicated to drive. And I took my girls out on it. And as we were pulling out of the marina, my daughter was like, "How do you know how to do this?"
Oh shit!
And I was like, "It's not that big a deal." Like I was defensive with my 10-year-old. It's not that big a deal. I could do this. And we went around Manhattan, and I got in all this shit I had no qualifications to deal with.
That's a crazy waterway because the currents,
especially on the east side.
Especially what do they call that fucking?
It's an estuary. Don't they call it Devil's something?
It's like something.
All the water.
Hell's Gate.
Hell's Gate. That's right. Yeah. All the water converges right there.
They should call it Watergate.
Where the rivers kind of split.
The Long Island Sound collides with the Harlem River.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
It gets a little dicey over there.
Really
Don't
bad.
say the Harlem River around Anthony today.
No.
I'm all right.
A little sensitive.
It's been a renaissance up there.
Don't say Muddy River.
Moment when we were in that cauldron and we just smashed, like the boat felt like it was coming apart, and my 7-year-old screamed, and her sister held her eyes, like closing them. It was like it was really stressful.
Were you panicking?
Then we get no. I mean, it's nervy, but
it was making that smack sound on the water. The bow goes like. Bam!
It was really bad.
It's where the Harlem River meets.
Yeah, the Long Island Sound.
The Long Island Sound,
it swirls
the East River,
in such
the Harlem
a way
River.
you've never seen before.
Yeah.
It's crazy to go through
and
that area.
You get whirlpools.
Like up by Yankee Stadium?
You know, it comes like
on the east side.
It's
Not far from Yankee Stadium. Not far from there.
Oh yeah, well it is. Yeah, Yankee Stadium's on the east side. It's south
crazy
of there.
to navigate that.
It's just north of Roosevelt Island.
Yeah,
right. Correct.
And are you thinking I just want somebody who knows how to do this here right now with me?
Yeah. And then we went up to the Harlem River, which is very, it's
awesome.
like glass.
It's really nice.
And so now we got through it, and we're really happy. And I've got frozen burritos and macaroni and cheese. So we're going to pull over, throw the anchor, and we're going to make lunch. And so I find this little cove, this sweet little cove.
Nice.
And
in Harlem?
There's people in a park next to it, and it's just a nice place. So I pull in there, and the boat just stops moving all of a sudden. And everything starts beeping because the boat is the boat is cooled by water that it's sitting in. So now it's just sucking mud up into this 2-hour-old engines are now packed with mud. And I just shut everything off because I know everything's overheating.
Oh man!
And my daughters go, "What's going on?" And I turned to them and I said, "You need not to ask me any questions for a little while."
Oh shit! Yeah.
And the park ranger calls over to me from the shore, and he says, "You ain't going anywhere. It's low tide. You're going to be stuck there for a long time." And I'm like, no, it's all right. I'm trying not to let my daughters hear this. And I call the Coast Guard, whatever, the Channel 16. I'm like, anybody can tow me out of here. And these cops show up on the boat. And they're like 50 yards away, and they're not going to come anywhere near me.
No.
And they said, yeah, you're going to have to wait till
like you're
high tide.
infectious.
Yeah, it's around 1 o'clock, and I'm on the radio with the cops, and they go, you're going to have to wait till high tide. And I said, when's that? And they said, maybe midnight tonight.
Oh, no.
Both my daughters start crying. Did
you stay the whole time, or did you get out?
You can't. There was no way to get out, because in a few minutes, we were surrounded by mud. And it was like quicksand. Like I put a stick in it, and it just fell into the mud.
Were you embarrassed?
Fucking very.
One of the best questions I've ever heard. Quick, salient, succinct.
Oh man,
I was really embarrassed.
So you were pretty much just like no more water. Your boat is sitting in mud.
Yeah.
In mud.
Really
and
gross.
you're waiting for the tide to come back in. Were you afraid that it was just going to be stuck in the mud and
I was afraid
not
of that.
come up?
I was afraid. My daughter was like, what if we like keel over? What if we start tipping over? I'm like, that can't happen. And in my head, I'm like, that could totally happen. And the cops said they would go get us food because we couldn't cook any of the food now because it needs a generator to run the fucking oven.
How would they get it to you?
Well, that was a big deal because they went and got us food. the cops. They bought us a whole chicken and some rice. Really nice guys. Then they come back, and now there's a huge expanse of mud between us and them.
The food.
And they go, we don't know how you're going to get this. They put it in a garbage bag. And I start throwing a line to them, but it's not making it. All these people on the shore, everybody knows who I am now.
Oh, no.
So there's people in the park and the shore who are just on a rail just watching me. And I'm throwing this, I've tied a pot to the rope, and I throw it, and it gets about halfway there, and I'm pull it back, and I'm covered in mud. Because every time the rope comes back, it's totally covered in mud, and I have to get the mud off so it's not heavy. Every time I go to throw it, all the people on the side, half of them are going, well, pull it for you, Louie, you can do it. And then when I miss, they go, oh, man, that dude sucks.
It's like playing left field for the Yankees.
Yeah, it's totally the Yankee Stadium crowd. Boo. People booed. People booed.
Wow.
And I couldn't get it, so finally the cops pulled over a guy who was fishing. And they used his rod to throw me a line.
Cast a line.
They cast a weight over me.
Nice.
So you're able to
I tied it to a rope.
Right.
They pulled, and then I had to pull dinner onto the boat. I was so soaked in mud and sweat. Totally.
Then it was chicken mole after that.
That's right.
Had your kids calmed down by that point?
They were great. My kids were amazing.
Yeah.
Then what happens at midnight?
We waited and waited. Once in a while, it started raining a little bit, and I heard from the darkness in the park, some kid go, hey, Louis, CK, it's raining out now. This is crazy.
Asshole.
But the guys at the marina where I keep the boat, they're really cool guys. And they sent some young guy and in a boat, and they just dropped him in the water, and he swam to us.
Jesus.
Crazy kid. And he came on board with me and helped me get it out. Once the water came up, we used the bow thruster to shove the boat around.
You got a little bow thruster on there.
Were you feeling it rise as the water's coming? Like, oh, God.
No, the boat wasn't moving because the water was coming up and the boat was just sitting there, stuck in the mud. So that's why we used the bow thrusters or above
Shake
the mud.
it loose. Wow.
So we shook the boat around.
Whoa.
And it worked.
And at one point, the tide was starting to go down again, and the guy that was with me said, it's your call, but we could turn the engines on and put it in reverse and try to get out of here.
What'd you do?
Yeah, it was like Apollo 13 because everything had been off for a long time, and now we're like, he says we have 10 seconds of battery. It was all this stuff.
Yes.
So we fired up and just put it in reverse, and mud just. It was crazy.
We don't have enough lems to get Louis out of the mud.
Any damage to the boat?
It's pride.
Propeller was my propeller was bent a little.
2 hours.
But now the hurricane threw my boat into a street somewhere.
Are you serious? The hurricane fucking totaled your boat.
I don't know. They said nobody. I was at the marina where they had it. They said all boats came off their blocks because the surge came up under the boats.
Fucking Captain Louis.
And they said all boats were damaged.
I think God is telling you not to have a boat, Lo.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find another hobby.
What are you going to do next? Go around Somalia? Jesus.
Now, Louis, didn't you have a depth gauge indicator where that would go like meh when you get in shallow water?
Yeah. The mud happens so suddenly. You have to know the waters, and you need to look at your charts.
Right.
You can't just look at the depth finder.
And the tributaries. You have to know them as well.
The depth finder tells you what the depth is directly
under your boat, right?
Yeah.
So you can
tell you what's coming.
You'll just go up on it, and then it'll.
If he knew it was coming, he wouldn't be near Harlem. You were just going out there trying to catch Walter, and you and Billy hit the rock on Golden Pond. Where fucking Katharine Hepburn comes out with her fucking head boogieing.
Oh my God! Wow, that is fucked up, Louis.
It was a funny thing. Well, my girls went through this whole thing with me as we came into we went down the Hudson River to go home at midnight. And I said to my daughter, we have to come back out on the boat so you can have a positive experience.
Right.
And she said, we just did have a positive experience.
Oh, that's nice.